Hey everyone, welcome to Wealth Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Reynolds, certified financial planner and owner of Elevation Financial. Thanks for joining me today. We're talking taxes. Again, tax season is here, depending on when you're listening. We're going to talk about tax documents that you don't want to miss. We're going to go through some of the common tax documents you need for filing your taxes, what they mean, what they're for, and to make sure that you're aware of what they all do. So, tax season can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. By just understanding what documents you need, how to organize them, you can save yourself some stress. You can feel more confident. So we're going to go through some of those documents, starting with the W-2. So W-2 is one of the primary documents that a lot of people have during tax season. Others can be 1099 forms. Others are mortgage interest statements, things like that. So let's start with W-2s. What are they? How do you get them? So W-2 forms are important tax documents for employees because they provide important information about your income and tax withholdings. A W-2 form is a statement of your annual wages and the taxes withheld by your employer. So if you work a standard job as an employee, you likely get a W-2. It has basic information about you on it. Again, wages, tips, tax withholdings, etc. If you work in a job that has tips. Also indicates any contributions made to retirement plans or other benefits. So to get your W-2, it comes from your employer. By law, employers are required to provide W-2 forms to their employees by January 31st. So if you haven't received your W-2 form by this date, it's important to follow up with your employer and make sure that you didn't miss it. Make sure you get it. Sometimes they will mail it in the mail. More often is the case where they put it online in a portal. You can log in to your payroll system and get it there. That's more convenient a lot of times because you can just download it electronically and then upload it to wherever your tax preparer portal is. So that makes it easier. So when you get your W-2, make sure you look it over carefully. Make sure it aligns with what you understand your pay records to be and all the different contributions, et cetera. So make sure it's accurate. Make sure there's no errors in that. And keep it, file it in a safe place. Keep it handy, even after tax season. All right, so next, let's talk about 1099 forms. There are a number of 1099 forms that you might encounter. 1099 forms are for independent contractors, freelancers, other self-employed individuals, or for income that comes from non-employee wage sources. So one 1099 you might get in certain cases is a 1099 miscellaneous, MISC. So 1099-MISC. This is for reporting non-employee earnings from income like royalty, rent, prize winnings, things like that. A 1099 MISC and a 1099 NEC, which we'll talk about in a minute, are commonly mistaken as the same form, but they serve different purposes. And the IRS sets limits for how much you can pay before needing to file a 1099 MISC form. There's a 1099K. This form is used to report payments received through third-party payment processors such as PayPal or Stripe. So if you receive payments from clients or customers through these platforms and your total transactions exceed certain threshold, usually it's 200 transactions, and the extra dollar threshold might change based on the year. The payment processor is required to issue a 1099K form, and this form helps ensure accurate reporting of your income from online transactions. Also, the 1099 NEC. This is used to report non-employee compensation. In the past, this type of income was reported on the 1099 MISC form, but starting 2020, the IRS reintroduced the 1099 NEC form specifically for this purpose. So if you receive income as a freelancer or an independent contractor, your clients might issue a 1099 NEC form to report your earnings. It's important to accurately report this income on your tax return so you avoid any discrepancies. So when you receive that form or any of the 1099 forms, you want to review it carefully, make sure it's accurate, check the amounts reported, make sure it matches your records, and notify the person issuing it if you see any errors. All right, next, the mortgage interest statement, Form 1098. If you own a home and have a mortgage, you might be eligible for certain deductions related to your mortgage interest. So to claim these deductions accurately, you'll need to gather your mortgage interest statements in the form of a 1098. And here's what you need to know about the document. It's known as a mortgage interest statement, and it's provided by your mortgage lender. It reports the amount of mortgage interest you paid throughout the tax year. This information is really important for homeowners as mortgage interest payments are sometimes deductible depending on whether you itemize or not. And that could potentially reduce your taxable income. Again, it depends on whether you itemize. Most people don't, honestly. So it may or may not be applicable. This is required to be sent by January 31st, so look out for it as well. Often it's electronic these days, especially if you've got an online portal you pay your mortgage through. It's generally going to be electronically provided. All right, student loan interest statements, Form 1098E. If you have student loans, you might be eligible for deductions related to the interest you've paid. So to claim those, you'll need to gather student loan interest statements in the form of 1098E forms. It's provided by your student loan servicer, and it reports the amount of interest you paid on your student loans during the tax year. Again, required to be delivered to you by January 31st. So be on the lookout for it. Often it's electronic, so that makes it easier to get as well. All right. You can also get 1099s in the form of or for reporting investment and interest income. So if you have investments like stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, you'll need to gather those investment income statements to accurately report your earnings from those investments. The main forms associated with investment income are Form 1099 Div, again, 1099 DIV, and Form 1099B. And here's how to track those. So Form 1099 Div is to report dividends and distributions received from investments. So if you earn dividends from stocks, mutual funds, or other types of investments, you'll get a Form 1099 DIV from the financial institution or the brokerage holding your investments. And this form will detail the amount of dividends you received during the tax year, which is taxable income. A 1099B is used to report the proceeds from the sale of investments. Like if you sell stocks or if you sell mutual funds, if you sold those investments during the tax year, you'll receive a Form 1099B from the financial institution or the brokerage where the transaction took place. And so this form provides information about the sale, including the gains or losses as well. This only applies to taxable accounts. So if the investment sale is taxable, that's where the 1099B would come into play. You could also get a 1099 INT. This is a tax form to report interest income. It's issued by banks and other institutions to individuals who have earned interest totaling $10 or more in tax year from savings accounts, interest-bearing checking accounts, or other interest-earning financial products. So that helps accurately report the interest earned from those accounts. So to track your investment and interest income, you want to gather all those forms, 1099 Div, 1099 INT, and Form 1099B. And again, those should be sent to you by the financial institution or brokerage involved in your investments. If you have multiple investments, you might receive multiple forms. So be on the lookout for that. There could also be a Form 1099R. This is used for reporting distributions from pensions, annuities, retirement or profit sharing plans, things like IRAs, possibly insurance contracts, and details the amount of money distributed from these plans during the tax year. So it's important to get that as well to accurately report income from those accounts. Here's the caveat. If you're not drawing income from retirement accounts and you didn't have any distributions from things like IRAs, 401ks, or other retirement accounts, you probably won't receive a 1099R. You might also receive K1 documents. A K1 is a tax document used to report your share of income, deductions, and credits from partnerships, S corporations, estates, or trusts. You might not. This is not as common as the others. But if you're a partner, a shareholder, a beneficiary receiving a K1, that's going to detail the income from that partnership or that share that you hold. So it's really important to file those as well, or to find those and report that with your taxes. And so again, if you're an owner of an S corp, which is a type of business election, or a partnership, you'll likely receive a K1. Also, a K1 can be issued if you own shares in certain types of mutual funds that are structured as partnerships. In these cases, your K1 might be issued later than other documents. They sometimes come as late as March or even April, sometimes even later than that, but ideally they come around March or April. So you want to be sure and wait for those. In many cases, you can download your K1s from a site called Tax Package Support. There's a link to it from this, the blog post version of this podcast, but the website is taxpackagesupport.com. And you can look up your investment in there to see if it issues a K1. Also, health insurance coverage. You might receive a Form 1095. This plays a role in your tax filing as well. And the 1095, which is a health coverage statement, is provided by your health insurance provider or your employer-sponsored plan. And it reports information about your health insurance coverage, including the months you were covered and the type of coverage you had. So it's important for accurately reporting your health insurance status and avoiding penalties associated with the Affordable Care Act, or ACA for short. So you might get a Form 1095A if you have health insurance through the marketplace, a 1095B if it's through Medicaid or private insurance companies, or it might be a 1095C if it's provided by an employer. So just be aware those 1095 forms might come from different sources depending on where your health insurance is through. Also, from a business standpoint, we're not going to dig too deep because it's a whole conversation in itself. But if you're a business owner or a freelancer, you want to make sure you have the right documents to report your income and expenses. So income statements like P&L, which is profit and loss, bank and credit card statements, payroll documents, receipts, your previous year's tax return as well, assets, purchase or sales, information on that, any loan documents, inventory, all that stuff might come into play if you're a business owner. So be sure you consult with a tax professional if you're a business owner and have questions about that. So you might get more stuff, but this is kind of the core. This is kind of a core set of documents that you might encounter as you are gathering documents for your tax return. So again, tax season can sometimes be overwhelming, but you want to have a system for filing this stuff. And one method I really like is to create a tax folder on your computer desktop, label it the tax year, and start filing documents into it. Just every time you get a new document, file the document into that folder, and you're just going to have a running list or running folder full of documents that are all in one place. So as soon as you get a W-2, a 1099, any tax form, file it in that folder. Or if you get it on paper, scan it and file it in that folder. That way you're continuously collecting your tax documents in one place so that you can easily upload them to your tax professional or your tax portal or whatever you're using to file taxes. So that's one way you can stay organized and make tax season a little bit easier and just kind of keep everything in one place. So with that, hope that's helpful in kind of walking through the different tax documents you might encounter. And, again, a way to keep it simple by filing everything in one place. And hopefully it also helps you understand what each document is for and what they do. So always consult with a tax professional if you have questions. And as always, I'm available on my website if you want to book any consultation to talk over any questions you have or potentially consider working together. So with that, I will wrap it up there and say, again, my website is elevationfinancial.com. Please feel free to reach out anytime with questions. And thanks for joining me today. Have a great day. We will see you next time.